6.2. That is the exact number of months it takes the average mid-level leader to reach the break-even point in a new role. Just think about that for a second. For over half a year, a newly promoted or hired manager is actually consuming more value from their company than they're producing.
Welcome to this explainer on Michael Watkins's classic framework, the first 90 days. Today, we're going to unpack the proven strategies for getting up to speed faster and honestly, a whole lot smarter. You see, whether you're stepping into a new management role, switching departments, or maybe onboarding at a completely new company, transitions are periods of acute vulnerability. So our goal today? We want to equip you with a playbook to drastically cut down that 6.2-month learning curve, empowering you to absolutely master your next big career transition.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. We're going to cover the transition break-even point, how to prepare and accelerate learning, the STARS framework, securing your early wins, and finally, accelerating the entire team.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the transition break-even point. So, when you start a new role, you know you don't magically just deliver results on day one, right? Every new leader's journey actually begins in a deficit. If you look at the left side, dipping below that zero line, you're consuming value. You're using up organizational resources, you're taking up other people's time to learn the ropes, and let's face it, inevitably making a few beginner mistakes. The break-even point is where the value you consume finally equals the value you produce. Our ultimate goal is to shift that line to the left, crossing into net positive value creation as quickly as humanly possible. And get this, research shows that applying the right framework can actually reduce this time by up to 40%.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast in a transition's trajectory. Over on the left, we've got this vicious downward spiral, failing to learn the right things, making bad initial decisions, losing your credibility, and then facing massive organizational resistance. It becomes a total trap. But on the right, we see the virtuous cycle. Good initial decisions founded on really focused learning bolster your credibility. And that credibility builds supportive alliances, which in turn fuels early wins and creates this amazing upward spiral of increasing effectiveness.
Moving right along to Section 2, prepare and accelerate learning. To guarantee we end up in that virtuous cycle we just talked about, the very first step is making a clean mental break from your old job. If you don't actively let go of the past, you are highly likely to fall into some really common transition traps. You might stick with what you know, basically thinking that what made you successful before is automatically going to work here. Or maybe you come in thinking you have the answer. But honestly, the most dangerous trap is the action imperative. It's that nagging feeling that you need to take action right this second. You try way too hard, way too early to put your stamp on the organization before you've completed any targeted structural learning. And the result? You end up making bad decisions and catalyzing resistance. And here's the thing. Time is not on your side. That's exactly why your learning has to be incredibly efficient. The transition actually begins at pre-selection, before you even formally enter the organization. You really need to leverage that pre-entry time to learn. Because by the end of the third month, your first 90 days, key people like your boss, your peers, and your direct reports are going to expect you to be getting some significant traction.
Which brings us to Section 3, master the STARS framework.
To actually gain that traction, you need the right strategy. Now, the biggest mistake leaders make is assuming there's some one-size-fits-all approach to leadership transitions. Spoiler alert, there isn't. You have to correctly diagnose your specific business situation if you want to survive, and that is where STARS comes in. It stands for startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, and sustaining success. These are the 5 fundamental situations a leader can inherit, and let me tell you, each one requires a completely different approach.
Think about a startup. You're building strategy, structures, and systems completely from scratch. People are generally excited. They're hopeful about the possibilities. But a turnaround? That is the classic burning platform. The business is widely acknowledged to be in serious trouble, demanding urgent, decisive action, with employees who are probably pretty demoralized. A turnaround is a ready, fire, aim situation, whereas the other environments require a whole lot more caution. So, the crucial point is understanding the drastic difference between these environments. Take realignment versus turnaround, for example. In a realignment, the organization was previously successful, but now it's facing hidden problems, requiring really subtle, incremental changes to just kind of re-energize the team. If you treat a realignment like a turnaround, coming in swinging a chainsaw and conducting rapid, radical surgery on a team that doesn't even believe there's a crisis yet, you will disastrously alienate your new team. You're going to face massive resistance.
But here is a quick reality check for you. You are rarely going to encounter a pure, tidy example of just one situation. Nope. Most new roles involve managing a diverse portfolio of STARS situations. You might have one product line in accelerated growth, a factory requiring a turnaround, and a high-performing team you just need to keep sustaining success. You have to diagnose your unique portfolio and adapt your strategy, allocating your priority percentage for different elements of the business.
All right, moving to section 4, securing your early wins.
Once you've diagnosed your situation, you have to shift into execution mode. Early wins excite people, they build your personal credibility, and they generate immediate organizational momentum. And this brilliantly illustrates how you should actually sequence that change. It shouldn't be a flat, unending line of constant stress for your team. Instead, you sequence change in distinct waves. Stage 1 is transition and learning, leading into a peak of change where you secure those foundational early wins. This is followed by a dip to consolidate and observe the results before you launch a deeper second wave of reshaping the organization. Unending change? That's just a surefire recipe for burning out your people.
When you're securing these early wins, they really need to do double duty for you. First, focus on priorities that matter to your boss. This is absolutely crucial because it cements your credibility and secures your access to resources. Second, target just 3 or 4 areas for rapid improvement to avoid losing focus. You can't boil the ocean. And third, use these projects to introduce new positive behaviors. For example, if you want a more collaborative culture, achieve your early win through a highly collaborative cross-functional team project. See how that works? You achieve short-term credibility while setting a template for long-term cultural shifts.
Finally, section 5, accelerating the entire team.
We focused a lot on you, the individual leader, but what about the organization as a whole? Consider this staggering fact. Each year, about a quarter of the managers in a typical Fortune 500 company change jobs. Every single transition materially impacts the performance of roughly a dozen other people around them. Bosses, peers, direct reports. That means if you aren't currently in transition yourself, you are having the transitions of others inflicted on you. This transition friction is a massive, hidden drag on corporate resources and enterprise performance.
Let's move to and see how this builds when we systematize it. Institutionalizing a common transition framework turns this hidden drag into a massive systemic advantage. By mapping out transition heat maps across the company, adopting the STARS language company-wide, and delivering just-in-time coaching, an organization accelerates absolutely everyone's success. Just imagine the efficiency if every single leader in your company used the exact same language to diagnose whether a project was a startup or a turnaround. It's a total game changer. So, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to apply literally right now. Take a hard look at your current role, or the one you're aiming for next. What exactly is your STARS portfolio? Is it a turnaround hiding inside a realignment? And most importantly, what is your focused step-by-step plan to reach that break-even point in your first 90 days? Diagnose your situation, accelerate your learning, secure those early wins, and take charge of your career momentum. You've got this.